Wide Family Farm presents
The Poop Troop! Citizen Guardian. Our fish is in man's life. My Aussie gardening kitchen. Garden State Gardener. Ginger Ninja. Rayman Prepping. Buttercup. Viper. Bob 942. Mama Bear Prepping. Gardener Josh. Big Blue House Homestead. Clarkport. Sandra Movie. Recyclable Homestead. Ramblin' Rose Homestead. CB. Pet Talk Homestead and Warren Lewis. View Kitchen and Beyond. Skinner Farms. Yosi. Big Chap. Nana's Menagerie. Heaven's Essentials. Bull Battle Junkie. Backward Blog. Strawberry Shortcake. JFM. Chatio. Mary's Ranch and Wild Cooking. Rambling with the Brums. Red Road Homestead. Grammy Karen, the Tinkerer's wife. Cameron Hislop. Cosmic Cultivators. Mrs. Cosmic Cultivators. Grillin' and chillin' with Mojo. Big Dreams Homestead. A&A's Family Homestead. Ariel's Viking Ventures and Victor's M. Piedmar.
Hey everybody, and welcome to this edition of Wide Family Farm. How's everybody doing out there? We got 16 people in the chat. It's good to see you all in here, and I'm actually feeling a little bit better. Just to let you guys know, I was sick, and I'm not as congested, I guess, as I was earlier, so that's a good sign. And I think I'm just over the hump of it all, I guess you would say. First, I would like to thank everybody for being here, and let's go through the chat, shan't we? Okay, so first person in here, Backwoods Law, thank you so much for being here. Hey, Nisi, Free Handly Made, thank you so much. Ginger Ninja, I'm sorry, my chat just moved, and it's moving fast, guys. Bob, thanks for being here. And let's see, who else we got going on? Yozi's in the chat. We have... Jay, thank you so much for being here. Lisa, this is the first time I think I've seen you in here. Thank you so much for being here. And if you've been in here before, I apologize. And also Rebel Canner herself, Tammy's in here. We love you, Tammy. Thank you for showing up. Mama Jay, what's up, girl? We love you. Thank you for being here. Rambling with the Brums, they're here. Thank you so much. And I'm keeping up. Duh, look at that. Fishes is here. Hello, Fishes. And my Aussie Garden and Kitchen. Good day. Well, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And this is my first time having Land's Promise Land Ranch on the show. And we are excited to have them on. We got a lot of exciting things coming up for Wide Family Farm. and a lot of things for our members. So if you want to be a member of the Poop Troop, it's 99 cents a month. That's $12 a year, guys. $12 a year. What does it get you? It gets you all of the emojis that you see going on in the chat. It gets you all of that. It gets you the membership chats. We just had one, a membership chat where Viper taught us how to do GIMP, which is a photo editing software. We did that. I taught you how to use Redbubble. So we'll be doing probably another class of that. I also have, hopefully soon, Backwoods Law. I just sent him an email. He will be teaching us how to do CPR. So that will be on there. So we just have a lot of exciting things coming up. And I'm also planning on doing a giveaway, hopefully for October. I got to get with some people and we will be giving away a squatty potty. And I'm super excited about that. If you don't get the Poop Troop thing, that's okay. We just like to laugh. We like to have fun. And to be quite honest, most of us are all farmers or have dealt with poop sometime in our lives. So that's why we laugh. And that's why it's a thing. So Ben Genetics, thank you so much for being here. Good to see you come into the chat. And let's go ahead and we'll bring up our guests for tonight. Super excited to have them on. Yeah, and here they are. And hello, how are you all doing tonight?
We are good.
That's good.
Hello.
That's really good.
I feel like we're way too bright over here.
That's okay.
we need to kill the lights, but I don't have any neon around here to light us up.
Yeah, as soon as I got monetized, my husband helped me out and bought me all this, or like all of these lights and stuff. And I didn't know if I necessarily needed it, but he got it all for me. And then Fishes and Lowe's Life got me these really cool headset. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I have a really awesome following on YouTube here, and everybody that's on my panel, they're so nice, and we are all one big family and have such a great time. And yeah, so Tina Ladybug, thank you for coming in the chat. And there was somebody else and I missed it. I prepped for it. Thank you so much. Grammy Karen is here. Hey, Grammy Karen, thank you so much for being here. And Kaylin Strain, of course, we love you. Thank you for being here. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll get right into it.
Is this something I was supposed to study for?
Yes. Didn't you get the pre-test to study?
Well, if you sent it through email, I don't usually get notified on that. Monica would drop that on me last minute, like, oh, by the way, you have to be on 10 minutes early, and there's going to be questions. I thought I was just going to sit here.
Yeah, you should know all the questions because it's all about you guys because we are showcasing you all tonight. Hello, people that are moderators in the chat. If you can, please share out their links so people can subscribe to their channel. That would be awesome. So thank you so much. Yeah, you didn't get this is a pop quiz. Backwoods Law said pop quiz.
I never get good with those.
No.
Ever.
That's so funny. I was never good at them either.
Well, oddly enough,
I aced them, so I was good.
She was the one in high school. She was the one that I was looking to help me. I didn't know she had ulterior motives. She was just trying to be my lady.
Oh,
yeah.
So you guys, that's how you met? You met in high school?
Yep. First period math class.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's how my husband and I met too. We were we didn't really date in high school, but we went to high school together. So, and then later on in life we met up and we've been together ever since. I told my mom I dated I'm not going to lie. I dated a series of losers. Not going to lie. I told my mom, I said, "Mom," I said, "he's a winner. He has a job and a car."
Oh.
I was so excited. And here we are. Our anniversary is on October 6th, and we are married. We've been married for 9 years and been together for 12. So,
oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah. So great. He's a good guy. Hey, Urban Girl, thank you for coming in and hanging out with us tonight. I'm sorry, I'll be doing that a lot because I like to pay attention to the side chat to make sure that they don't feel ignored. Hey, Uncle Al. Hey, CB, thank you for being here tonight. Okay, so actually have a lot of questions, and we can see if we can just, get through them tonight. I know there'll be a lot of talking because you're friendly and I'm friendly, and that's just how this goes. So, so now I had a question about your title. Now, where exactly did you get the name of the title of your YouTube? Because I like it. It's I really like the title. So where did you come up with that?
Well, that's we're not originally, well, as you can see from our logo, it's a Texas thing, but we're originally from Maryland, and
Okay.
in 2013, 2014-ish area, we felt like this was somewhere the Lord was leading us to be. And ironically enough, we both were, well, I was reading through the book of Joshua at the time, which was where they were the Hebrews were taken into the promised land. And so, as I was talking with Monica, we were, thinking, if we got property down there, what would we call it? And what we always try to do is we always try to bring everything back to the Lord. And so we thought, well, if the Lord provides a piece of property down there, then it would be like we're making our trek to the promised land. And so that's how we came up with the promised land. Now, we threw Bland on the front because we couldn't get promised land. Everybody else was trying to take our names before we got to it. So
I actually really like it. That's really awesome.
Well, it's also a really nice way for us to really explain to our kids and relate it to give that Bible portion to our children and explain to them, there's a time where sometimes God takes you out of a position or a place that you're in, and it may not be comfortable and it may be a little scary, but just imagine how scared they were in the Bible. They were going to a place they've never seen, and they were a little bit upset about it at first. They may have gotten a little more scared than they should have. And that's what we were feeling. And that's probably what our kids, it's 7 kids at the time. The youngest was a baby, so he wouldn't have known, but all the rest of them were leaving everything they've ever known. Every bit of the family that they lived around, everybody. And so you're grabbing your kids and your entire family and moving across the country where there's no one else there. And it had to be scary. And so that was a thing that we kept telling the kids, just like God took them to the promised land, it was a piece of land for them that he was going to bloom them there and grow them and encourage them. And so we tried to encourage our kids that way so they wouldn't feel like we were just like, hey, we got to go.
Yeah.
It was more like, hey, let's make this a reasonable transition and explain to them that this isn't something that we are doing. This is something that we're working with God and he's doing with us. So it just made
I really like that, because I had a series of events that happened to me as to why I moved here. And it was just like you guys said, it was a calling to do that. So I really, it's actually giving me goosebumps, but like, I like that. I'd like you just know, like a lot of people, and like Viper, my friend, lives in Los Angeles and he hates it. And he has a calling now too. He's moving to Tennessee.
I saw that they got the house.
Yes.
He announced it on that live, the ladies' night live.
So excited for him.
Everyone was so psyched, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. So
yeah. I mean,
Beautiful.
God knows, he's miserable where he's at, and it's not good for your soul.
Yeah.
It's not good for your soul to be miserable where you're at and stuff like that. And he, he just continued with it, and now that's his calling. He's had dreams and stuff about it. Like he knows that's where he is supposed to be. And so, yeah. Ooh, I got goosebumps, y'all. Ooh. I love it. It's awesome. That was one of the questions I was actually going to ask you, but you kind of answered it already. I was going to ask you exactly how many kids that you have, and what are their age ranges as of right now? Like,
so we have actually 8 now. So we left with 7, and then we had a Texas baby. So
you left 7?
No, we left with our 7. Didn't leave anybody behind. Okay, I checked the attic. I checked everywhere. Okay. I did leave a kid in Sunday school the other day. So when we were leaving church tonight, one of my teachers was like, do you have a head count? I was like, don't worry. I'm not going to leave them at church. Leaving them in Sunday school and going to service is one thing. Okay. She brought them. I didn't feel too bad, but I won't leave them in an actual place. But so our oldest is 21. He just got married in May, and we did a video on how we turned our farm into a reception venue for him. It was It's a lot of work. These guys have a lot of work. So our oldest is 21 and our youngest is 5.
Wow.
So yeah, and they're all just about 2 years apart, except number 3 and number 4 are almost 4 years apart because I got a dog in between them. So it was like 2, 2, 2, and then I had a dog, and then I got another. So we just every 2 years I would have a baby or throw a dog in the mix.
Oh.
So. I like even numbers. I like even numbers. Okay. So we had to even your birthdays.
Yeah, I love it.
So, oldest is 21, youngest is 5.
What is it like for how many boys and how many girls do you have? What is it like for them? Like,
We have 1 girl and we have 7 boys.
holy crap.
So,
no one's gonna pick on her. No one's gonna pick on her.
No. And my oldest 2 boys are old. My oldest 2 boys are adults. They're 21 and 19. And again, my 21-year-old just got married and moved out. So now we've got a daughter-in-law, which is amazing because it's like, I'm just getting extra daughters, And so, and my girl is 16. She'll be 17 in just a couple months. But she might as well be 21 because she acts like an adult. She can run everything. She's out there now probably making dinner for all the other kids. So, and the 5 younger than her are 13, 11, 9, 7, and 5, and they're all boys. So we're straight all the way down. And so, my 5 boys under her, they have a ball. I mean, they're just a fun group of kids. Awesome. They're a fun group of kids. I always post stuff on my Facebook page. I'm always posting pictures of something the boys are doing because the 5 boys are 13 and under. Last year, they built a little fort out of pallet wood, and they literally built it. They were like pulling the wood up. I mean, it was on. And I'm like, they're using power tools. And I'm like, just put dad's stuff away. So they have a good time.
the thing is about that, though, is at that time I was working for a company that I was able to work from my house.
Yeah.
And so I was looking out the window and I saw them out there and I'm like, I was so proud of them. I'm like, look at them. The boys are out there using tools.
Yeah.
They're doing things the right way. They're cutting things. They had sawhorses out and they were using a handsaw to cut the 2x4s. And then I got to thinking, I'm like, where are they getting all that wood from? So I went out there and asked them, I said, where did you get all this wood? And they're like, well, we got it from the barn. And I said, is that my good wood? And they're like, well, yeah, I mean, you got to build it with the right wood. And I'm like, what? No, I needed that wood to build stuff around the farm, not for you to build a fort with.
Oh, no.
They are resourceful homeschool children, okay? Resourceful is what that is.
And the thing is that they were cutting like 2 feet off of an 8-foot board. And I'm like, you couldn't have found like a scrap piece of wood. I mean, we got all kinds of junk out there. Trust me. There's wood to be picking through, but no, they didn't want the junk wood. They wanted the good stuff. So
yeah,
I couldn't get too upset.
I understand the thing with the scrap wood because, well, I used to work with lumber and I was a forklift driver. I worked in lumber at Home Depot, and any like of the percentages off or anything like that, I was always bringing wood home. Yeah. And so that was years ago and we still have some of it. That's how big I was into it. And so now we moved here to this place and my husband's like, I just built that with your wood that you brought home from Home Depot like 7 years ago, so yeah, we hold on to all of that kind of stuff because you don't know when you will need it. And, and a lot of times that you don't need something fancy to build something for your chicken coop or, you don't need, $125 2x4 to build. Well, I hope you don't. I'm gonna pray about that because that's horrible. I can't believe lumber costs is so bad right now, but so we always have like scrap lumber and stuff like that hanging around here in case we need to build something real quick or do something for the garden or but you guys have it on an even bigger expansion because you guys have a huge farm. Like it's a ranch. It's a ranch like you would see on TV, right? You guys have cows. What is it like? You went from Maryland to this and it's like, it's amazing. What is this like? What is it like to have a ranch? This is so cool.
It's like a dream.
It's awesome. We don't have a huge amount of land. We have 10 acres here.
That's huge.
But we lease like 30 acres and like 68. We lease land with other people that we know. But 10 acres it was a lot at first when we got here. And now he just said I'm being a land snob. But now I'm like, okay, we need more land. We need more land. We need more space because we have a lot of cows. We have like 28 head of cattle right now.
Wow.
Yeah, we need more land.
It's definitely like a dream.
It
You know, I
is.
mean, growing up as a kid, you would watch like those Western movies, and you know they're out there moving the cattle and they're whistling and shouting, and the cows are moving and they're riding horses. And you know, I think that it was probably a couple years ago when I think we had about 20 head at the time, and we had built a corral area when we're getting ready to run them through the chute. And when we had all these other folks that we were working with and we kind of worked them into this chute or into the corral area, it kind of like set in because the dust was up in the air and they were all kind of mooing as they're going into the corral. And I just like took a second and looked, and it just like, it just brought a smile to my face because, you know, when we moved down here, this is not how we grew up. We moved from a townhouse to come down here. Neither one of us grew up on a farm.
No, we lived in the suburbs. We lived 25 minutes south of Baltimore City. Like we lived where, I mean, you could drive to Baltimore City in a hot minute. So we weren't, we didn't have a ton of land. We didn't have a bunch of animals. Yeah. We did start a little garden before we left, and we got some chickens. We kept at my dad's house because you can't have chickens in a townhome community. HOAs and stuff.
Are you sure?
Right? But my dad had like a quarter of an acre. And so he was like super excited so that we could put our, you know, chickens over there. But no, it is like a dream. And some days it's so funny because I just go out in my garden and I'm just like, thank you so much, Lord.
I know.
Like a breath. Like it's just, you just can take a breath and go, okay, this is mine. Like, thank you that you've given, like, you're leasing this to me. Because I've really understood how much, like, as we lease land for our animals and stuff, I realized how much we're just leasing this from God right now. And we're just trying to do our very best to take care of it so that we can take care of our family with it. And so that's kind of the way I've been looking at it. But yeah, it's been awesome. It was a dream I never knew I had.
You guys are inspirational, really, because there's a lot of people specifically on YouTube too, as well, that have moved. I lived out here pretty much all of my life. I moved to the city and lived in the city in a bad neighborhood for like 10 years. And then we got to the point where we were like, we need to get out of here. We cannot do this anymore. And we moved here, which, you know, this was my calling. This was my grandparents' home, you know, and there was a lot of things that led up to this. But when you go outside and you stand there and you look at the garden and you look at everything that you have grown and the animals and stuff like that, you're just like, yeah, I get it now. I get it. This is what we are supposed to be doing. This is it. And there goes the goosebumps again. But
the thing about the cows too was when we were looking at the 10 acres to move down here, we had family that was asking us, like, well, what are you going to do with that? And it kind of like an attitude almost, you know, and I was like, well, I don't know. We'll put cows on it. And they just kind of, you know, they just laughed at us. They're like, what do you know about cows? And I said, well, I don't know, but I'll learn.
But we got YouTube. We can find out.
Right.
And honestly, I was really never a YouTube type person until we moved down here. And so that's why when that day when I looked up and saw, you know, 20 head of cattle just kind of all going into the corral area, it just kind of, it just set in. It was like everybody that were, you know, they were the naysayers that was like, you're not going to be able to do it. There's, you know, you don't know anything about this. You didn't grow up like that. And they just don't know my personality too well. I'm the type of person where I don't like to be told I can't do something because I'll find a way to make it happen.
I'm stubborn.
Yeah.
I will say this too. I saw something in the chat there. Somebody was asking, I guess, about like what kind of cows they were.
Yep.
So, you know, we originally started out with Black Angus, and then we did have a Longhorn as kind of like a lawn ornament.
He's on my wall now. He's nice.
Okay. Well, you didn't have to do that.
She talks about poop. I can talk about cow horns and on the wall. He's handsome, so
cool.
Anyway,
she likes skulls. We're a little concerned about this now. Okay.
That's okay. They're cool.
Anyway.
You ever see a bedazzled skull?
I have. He would never let me do it. He would never let me do that. But I like glitter, so I might take him down to clean one day and maybe glitter up the Longhorn.
Oh, everybody say goodbye.
Goodbye to your Longhorn. Not me. I'm here majority of the day. He's not getting rid of me.
Oh, you guys are awesome.
But yeah, no, we started with the Black Angus, the Brangus. We went to Longhorn, and then we only have a couple. We only keep our Longhorns because they're really good for all the weanlings. Because if you have a Longhorn steer, they're really good to hang out with all the babies that we're weaning, because they're kind of like a comfort. And so we do have a baby Longhorn right now. He's almost a year old soon. He was a bottle baby. We have a series on our channel where we took and we were bottle feeding him. He's sweet. He's so awesome. But we do have a little bit of a bigger Longhorn now too. And he'll be gone probably come April. Because his horns are getting just long enough now that he's going to look real nice somewhere else. But we have Herefords. We have a bunch of different cattle. Eric really prefers the Herefords, I think, because they're super chill. They're just really good, chill temperament. And so, yeah, we've got a bunch of different ones. So
can the Longhorns get nasty? That's what I would be afraid of. I don't know if they will. I've been around Longhorns before, but only at like petting zoos. I've never really actually, worked with them or anything, but can they get nasty because of their horns? I'd be afraid I'd get stabbed.
No, I mean, Longhorns they're a very docile breed.
Yeah.
The biggest problem with Longhorns, and this is aside from a bull now, a bull, and they're really chill unless there's some girls in heat. That's where you want to kind of keep your distance. But the biggest problem that we had with them, especially with having a lot of little kids around, was when they would go to lick their back because of flies or something. When they would whip their head around the horns, especially if they're 6 foot from tip to tip, when they move them around, they unintentionally hit things sometimes, and they're very strong.
They're chill, but they're strong. And these horns, they don't realize. Imagine if you had giant horns come out of your head and you're walking through somewhere and you're just like, hey, everybody. And then it whips around. You're not trying to hurt anybody.
Right.
But I have a friend of mine who raises and breeds Longhorns specifically. And she's actually shown them in the ring. Her children have, and she would come in and she would have bruises on her arms. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, I don't get beat. I promise you. I was washing the Longhorn and they whipped their head around and they hooked her arm. They caught her. And so she would have bruises on her shoulders or arms if she was getting bumped around.
Yeah.
They just don't know. And they're so sweet, usually, especially if you raise them and you halter them and you teach them to be chill, they will.
Yeah.
But they're usually pretty good.
Yeah, that's one thing there's a safari place I absolutely love. I want to take my son there before it gets too cold. And you drive around and they have camels and Longhorns and yaks. I've never seen a yak before.
That's
They're
cool.
so stinking cool. And we're driving through, right? But you drive through in a car. So I was worried. I'm like, honey, don't stop here. I said, I think the Longhorns are super cool, but I also don't want them to scratch up the side of my car. Just keep going. And then we were sitting in the car and they had buffalo. They opened this area up and you can drive through, and there was buffalo, and one of the buffaloes literally stuck their head through the window and was in my car. And I was like, oh my God. And it was a white one. It was beautiful. And
wow.
I think they're so cool, but I'm just thinking all it takes is this, for this buffalo just to get mad. And there goes my car. And I'm just thinking oh my God. I'm like, but they were so cool. And I just totally respect those animals. They're just absolutely fabulous.
Yeah. Well, we've definitely had damage to the tractor and to the trailers and to the truck. There's this dents and stuff that you're looking at. Years ago we'd look at it and where did this even come from? And then you go to the trailer. Why is the taillight broke again? Who is doing this?
The cows. Yeah.
The cows.
And they rub up against things. And so, they'll they'll rub up against the barn door. They just, they can. Yeah.
Is there a difference in the meat? Like, as far as like, I know people say that Black Angus is stronger, like tasting, than any other cow. Is there a difference really in the meats of, say, a Longhorn versus, a Black Angus, or how Black Angus right now is so popular everywhere? They just slap it on. Oh, we have Black Angus, And what really is the difference?
Well, a Black Angus is a beef cow. So you have different breeds. Uh, the beef cows are the ones that you
Oh, and we lost them. Just give them a second. I don't know what exactly happened, guys. Let's give them just a few more minutes. Thank you, everybody, for coming in the chat. There they are. Ah, there we go. I'm of
You
all
didn't-
people know that internet is not cool. Like, it just goes whenever it feels like it. So
Yeah, I mean, I thought we were doing pretty good. So I was like, what in the world?
I guess she really didn't like my answer too
No,
much.
she didn't like it.
we didn't hear it, so go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say the Black Angus is a beef breed that is used for eating, obviously, whereas a Longhorn is more of a ornamental bovine. But the thing is that, so what we raise is grass-fed beef. So what you see in the grocery store, all the marbling, is typically because of all the grains that they're fed, and it's adding fat to their body. Whereas with what we grow, because it's all grass-fed, there's less fat. So that's one of the big stereotypes, if you will, with a Longhorn, especially down here in Texas. People will tell you, don't eat them Longhorns. They're too lean and it's tough.
They're too tough.
Yeah.
The meat's too tough. You'll just chew on it for weeks. Okay, well, just cook it low and slow.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
So, because we do grass-fed beef, honestly, it's not much different than Longhorn meat. And that's the big thing, is understanding what you're getting. If you know that you're getting grass-fed, then you do have to cook it slower, but you also want lower temperatures, or else it will be as hard as a shoe.
But once you eat grass-fed beef that you've raised yourself or whatever, whether it's Black Angus mix or a Hereford, because they're also a meat breed, whatever it is, you are going to not want to buy it from the store anymore, because it definitely tastes different. Even my brother-in-law and my sister, they'll get ground beef and they're like, ooh, which cow was this? Was this the Hereford? Was this the Angus? What breed was it? Because this tastes sweeter. Or how old was this cow? Because you can actually tell the difference between some of the meat. And they know our cattle, because we have some cattle at their place. That's where we take a lot of the younger babes as they've weaned. We put them over there, and they usually keep a few over there. And so they know them, and they'll say, is this such and such? Because this meat tastes different, and it's good different. It's just different, because then they'll go back to buying from the store for a little bit and be like, oh, we need to go back to your house and get some meat. So it's been really a cool experiment, kind of, depending on which cow we're processing and eating. And we know which one it is. And so we've kind of learned the differences, but because we don't feed any corn or grain to them at all, it definitely makes the flavor a little different.
Oh,
And
that's really interesting, because I think even a lot of people out there, they have no idea. And if you go to the grocery store all the time, which I'm totally opposed to buying meat from the grocery store. I totally dislike it. I will not do it. I go to a local place here, and literally as you drive in, you see the cows. They're right out front. And so I buy my meat there. And they're a really big Christian family here and locally. And every piece of meat or anything you buy, it says, God bless. I mean, they're a wonderful family. So I support them, and I will never, after eating their meat and stuff like that, I won't buy anywhere else. It kind of grosses me out. So
you appreciate it too. You appreciate when you see the animals. And I think, Lisa and Ryan from Yogi Hollow, they just had their pigs processed. And she has said in so many different posts on her Instagram, this is the best tasting pork. She's like, this is amazing. And there is something to be said for, first of all, your mind knows where it's from, but really it definitely tastes better. Like, it tastes different in a good way. And I was a little nervous that it wasn't going to taste good at first. I was like, ugh. But no, it was really good. And every bit of the animals we raise here, every one of them, I have thoroughly enjoyed. And even though sometimes I was a little nervous about trying something that we grew ourselves, that we helped them grow along.
Is there anything in particular that you want to
Like
share?
what? Like the rabbit?
Oh no, I thought you meant about the cow.
No,
You know, the thing is,
the cow's good.
because you raise animals like that, you don't want to waste anything.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people will kind of, I remember when we first started processing our own animals, that somebody had posted something on Facebook and they were like, if you could only imagine all the scraps from a cow that goes into a hot dog. And people were just all over that, like, oh yeah, it's disgusting. And then I was like, what's disgusting about that? Every piece of that cow, you know, that took me 2 years to get it to the place of processing.
Yeah.
So I thought what she was getting at was I guess about 6 months ago when she made lingua.
Oh, I made the tongue and the heart because Eric's like, well, I don't want the organ meat to go to waste. Let's just get it back. And so I was like, okay. And so I cooked the tongue in a crock pot. We got home from church and I'm like, bring it, guys. We're going to eat some tacos. And so I made like the tongue and I was like, again. Because
Well, you're a lot braver than me to even cook it because I have a
Well-
huge. Now, one thing, if it's in a hot dog or something like that,
right?
Well,
then you don't think about it, but
You don't
just
see
to
it.
flat out
No, but
cook
like-
it.
Well, you can
like-
take the tongue out and put it into a hot dog roll
No.
if that's what you want.
No, like it was like I like slapped it right from the freezer into the thing. I'm like, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. And then I'm like, oh, I gotta like shred that. And so I was like shredding it, and I was like, oh no. So I put it in a skillet to kind of like get it a little bit like less moist. And then I was country mile, right. It was a little hard. And my older son, who wasn't married at the time, he's like, I don't think so. And I'm like, everybody needs to try it. And like cooking it up.
Yeah.
It looks like shredded
Hey.
pork.
But you know what?
Everybody loved it.
It was delicious.
Yeah.
The kid, I
And-
just told the little
yeah.
boys, I'm like, it's like shredded pork. Just eat some. They loved it. They were like, this is the best taco, Mom. I'm like, oh, good. I'm glad.
Yeah. Isn't there like I don't want to get too into it because there are people that have weak stomachs, but isn't there like a thing around the tongue that you have to peel off?
Oh, yeah.
I thought there was, but
Yeah.
yeah,
It's this part.
whatever that is.
And you're just like, nope. That's where I was like, oh,
Yeah.
it was one thing when I put it in there and put the lid on, it was like, boop, low, 10 hours. I'm good. And then when I had to like come back and actually like put my hands on it, I was like, oh, I don't know about this. It was a little difficult.
Yeah.
But
I can imagine.
it was good. They all liked it.
Well, that's good. I mean, I'm glad. You're right. The parts of the animal shouldn't go to waste.
But you
myself
appreciate
have-
it
Yeah.
more when you I mean, look, I've got another one out in the freezer and I'm like, well, we could always just give it to the pigs. I mean,
You know what? Maybe we'll send it up to you, Courtney.
Courtney's like, I'm not vegan now.
My husband would eat it, but I wouldn't. My husband would eat squirrel. He kept telling me, I'm gonna hunt squirrel this year. He's like, you're gonna make me some squirrel gravy, and I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Oh, no.
Well, you know, like we tell people, because, you know, now that we live like this, most of the people who come to visit us, that's one of the
They're
that's-
afraid. They don't know. They're like, what are you feeding us?
that's one of the
Aw.
questions. But before they agree to come, they're like, you're not going to like feed us something that we don't know what it is, right? We don't make any promises.
We don't trick people.
Yeah. I don't know, man. But yeah, I understand about using none of the animals should go to waste.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer in that. And if you guys don't eat it, you're right. Somebody on the farm can eat it. The pigs can eat it. Chickens can eat it.
Chicken's gonna eat it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if
That'd
it
be
doesn't,
weird. We should
you
try
guys
that.
don't eat it, your animals can eat it. Yeah.
It'd
My
be kinda cool
chickens,
seeing the chickens pick at a giant tongue. That'd be kind of weird.
my chickens are hilarious. They eat pizza. I just throw pizza out there and they'll eat pizza. They
Yeah.
one time
No,
I had a ham left over. I just threw
You
that
waste
out there.
pizza?
Huh?
You waste pizza?
Well, if it's been in the fridge, I don't usually
I see.
typically I don't typically waste pizza. I love pizza, but if it's been in the fridge for a couple of days or something and we've had enough or something like that, we'll throw pizza out there. They'll eat it. They like pepperoni. A lot of people don't understand that chickens are carnivores
Yeah.
And they think, oh, they only eat grain and all this. I'm like, no, no, no. They like fish. Oh, I had shrimp. We had shrimp the other night. My mom bought, oh, this grossed me out, but I get grossed out very easily. My mom bought the shrimp that has the shell on it, you throw on the grill.
Mhm.
And I was like, I don't like that. I don't like to have to peel the thing off. So I only ate a couple of them. Then we had a bunch left over. My mom's like, I don't want this. And I'm like, well, I don't want it either. I said, you know what we're going to do is we're going to give it to the chickens because that would be like the heyday for them. They would love
Yeah.
that. So I gave it to the chickens. My chickens had like gourmet shrimp the other night for,
Nice.
for dinner. And yeah, they like, salmon packets and all that kind of stuff.
My chickens are always in the pig pen eating whatever scraps we've thrown out for them. And we don't, we give them whatever. And we're like, oh, this is going to go bad. Give it to the pigs. And so if it's a scrap, I mean, we just don't give them pork. That's pretty much the only thing we don't give them. But otherwise, if we've got extra chicken, they can have it. So I'm country mom. Just when I gain consciousness, here comes a shrimp story. Oh my gosh. But yeah, needless to say, chickens are carnivores. They'll eat anything. So yeah, we'll just throw it out there and let everybody enjoy.
And how many chickens do y'all have on your farm?
Way too many.
Yeah, we have about 50.
I don't know.
She doesn't even know.
They go through this cycle, this ebb and flow of poultry life where I have a chicken and I'm like, oh, look, I don't know where the one chicken went that we call Gorgeous. She disappears. And then all of a sudden she comes back and she's got 12 babies with her. And I'm like, huzzah, there she is.
Yeah.
They go and they hide. And so I'll find all of my chickens in the next few weeks or so when they're done finding their little nests. And so like Eric said the other day, he's like, hey, there's a gold lace Wyandotte out there. She's got like 4 babies with her. I was like, oh yeah, she does. She's new. She was in the pig pen hatching out some babies. I mean, I can't believe the pigs didn't like push her off of her nest to eat her baby, like to eat the eggs. Yeah. Because my pigs love eggs. But no, they were like, you do your thing. We're just going to hang out over here. You just have your nest. I mean, I didn't know they had that kind of relationship, but we have a lot of chickens and we have a lot of ducks.
Yeah. I have a lot of chickens and a lot of roosters. I used to have 6 roosters. Now I have 8. And the 2 roosters were hatched on Easter. And they're I haven't named them or anything. They're called dinner because they need to go.
Easter, it's time for them to go.
They're time. It's time for them to go because I have way too many and my hens can't take it. Yeah. And so, but yeah, I do have I love roosters. I just love roosters. I think they're so cool. All of mine have awesome personalities. They're not mean. They hang out and they all have different names. And yeah, they show off for me. They flap their wings and all of that.
Cute. I like roosters, but Eric hates them because they have no sense of time zones. Timing is awful, but they have no sense of like they know where our bedroom is. And they'll come 1 a.m, 3 a.m, 3:30, 3:35, 3:36, and they'll just crow all night long. He thought that he was going to be smart and move their chicken coop from behind the house, right where our bedroom is. And he was going to move the chickens and the ducks to the front of the house on the side. Genius idea. Well, they weren't having it. And they were like, well, that's not where we live. So we're just going to stay right here. So for weeks, we had to pick them up from where they were roosting over behind our house by my bedroom and carry them across the way and push them in. I mean, this is like dozens of chickens and ducks. And the ducks were like, oh no, we aren't going in there. And they would go to the pond areas that were in the front of our yard and all this. And I'm like, I'm not chasing them down at 8 o'clock at night. Because when they lived behind our house, I would clap my hands and say bedtime, and my ducks would put themselves away. Now they live no shelter, no coop. They live this rogue, naughty poultry life behind our house, and they are loud and annoying. And yeah, pretty much every night Eric's like, I want to kill them. And I'm like,
I understand. They are.
We should probably move the coop back.
Yeah, our coop is it's not super far away from our house, but like I hear them crow and crow. And then so I do hear them, but it's like I've gotten so used to it. It's kind of cool. And then I lived in the city for so long. So for me to actually hear a rooster, I kind of get excited. I'm like, oh, I actually know their calls. I have 2 Polish roosters, 2 Lavender Orpington roosters, an Easter egger rooster, and I know how each one calls. One, it has the most pathetic crow I've ever heard in my life, and then the little teeny ones, they act like they're so much bigger. So then their crow is way bigger than my lavender ones, and it's so hilarious. Like, but from each one that crows, I like know who it is. Like, oh, that was the pathetic one. I know who that was. I'm like,
We have a few of those. We have a couple that are pathetic. He's like, that one rooster is losing his voice. I'm like, yeah, I know. I know.
so funny.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions. It goes more on the prepping side. So, do you consider yourselves preppers, self-sustaining preppers?
Can I talk?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Well, I think, one of the things that we talk about a lot on the other lives we've been on our live that we do is talking about that word prepping. And, it's got such a negative connotation to it that, people usually identify that word with a group of people that are like preparing for the end of days.
Apocalyptic prepping. We're not.
Yeah.
We're beginner preppers, though. I feel like we're beginning to get to that point where we're still researching and making sure that we're preparing ourselves for certain things. We have prepped items, but we're not like.
So you're not prepping for the apocalypse. You're prepping for
my 8 children.
Yeah, something.
My grandkids, and because I said grandkids. We'll have grandkids one day eventually, and we have 8 kids. We're gonna have grandkids, right?
Jeez,
for crying out loud, I've got good chances. The odds are for me. I'm thinking. I mean,
the odds are forever in your favor.
The odds are in my favor. Anyway, yeah, no, but no, that's different. No, that's not. He hasn't watched Hunger Games in a while. No, but we also have my in-laws live on the property with us. My sister lives here with her family. My dad just moved down here from Maryland. So in my head and in our world, we really try to prepare for all of us as a community, as a group, as a family group, because if we have the capacity to be able to have things so that we can help one another out, we know that if something goes down, everybody's coming here. We all know that we have what we need here, and we can come here and do what we need. So yeah, I feel like, we're beginning preppers, I think.
Well, I think
that's good.
In the, I guess, the truest form of being prepared or being, in preparation, that's, our goal when we moved down here, and this was really before obviously anything like last year happened, our goal was to not have to buy meat from the grocery store. Mm-hmm. And so we were able to achieve that a couple years ago. And the funny thing was, not funny, but the thing is that last year when everything just dropped out, I remember going to Walmart looking for something. It was something that we didn't need. It was more of a. It
was like tortillas or something. Yeah. I was like, we need tortillas. And he's like, we really don't. I'm like, we'll just go see if they have any.
Yeah. And I just kind of walked through the grocery store, and you could kind of just see the panic in people's faces as they're looking at this very slim selection of different meats and stuff like that. And that's, kind of where, so we've done some videos on why we do what we do. So it was kind of like a low key, hey, you might want to think about doing this. And, one of the big things that we push is, even if there's not meat in a grocery store, you can go to local farms, because 9 times out of 10, they still have a herd of cows, or they still have piglets that they're trying to sell, or, but one of the big things we've been pushing lately is, quick turnaround on items. And so that's one of the reasons why when everything started happened in the grocery stores, we met together as a family, and I told people, most people don't know, but the gestation period for a cow is 9 months. And then it's roughly, if they're grass-fed, 2 years before they're ready for processing. So you're looking at like a 3-year turnaround time for a calf. And so if we needed a fast turnaround on meat, how do you do that? Where do you go? And some of the fastest growing animals are the chickens, rabbits, quail, pigs. Pigs can grow very quickly. And
if you have the means to push the food on them, I mean, pigs will grow more slowly if you let them. But what could you raise? What can we raise as a family that will give us a quick turnaround that doesn't need a substantial amount of food, because food shortages happened at the feed store too. And so we had to be able to figure out how we could adjust what we needed as a family. I mean, your family may not enjoy eating, ground beef or chicken every single day, but if that's all you've got and you don't have the means to get bread or the chips or the extras, that's what you do, because you eat. You need to eat for survival, really.
Yeah,
So.
I really respect that answer, guys, because you're right. There is a lot of negative connotations as far as prepping or preppers go. Your typical gun hoarding, camouflage wearing, crazies, I guess you would say. But prepping goes in all different categories, and you're prepping to save for your family, not necessarily at the end of times, as my husband would say, the end of times. It's not really like that, and so it takes a lot of people to actually turn that around. And there was a lot of TV episodes. Doomsday Preppers was one of them, that has a lot of negative aspects to that. But at the same time, it is really important to teach people to save. I mean, you should at least have a couple months of food in your pantry just in case something would happen. And so it's really important to have that, because you don't know. And like things like what happened last year really pushed that for people. They're like, well, yeah, maybe I should start doing that, because I couldn't go to the grocery store and get tortillas. I couldn't get bread. And there were times there on the shelf where people are like, man, there's no bread. I'm like, yeah, there for a while I was just making my own, and
That's what I started
I
doing.
had to, because there was nothing. And so so you guys are doing it right. Keep up the good work.
Appreciate it.
I love it. Now there was one episode specifically where you were talking about saving water from your house and stuff. Now, where you live in Texas, is that an area that gets a lot of drought? Is there a reason why you want to save water, or are you just saving to save it because for specific reasons? So could you elaborate a little bit on that for me?
Well, yeah, I mean, the idea originally was obviously from a savings from a money perspective, and it kind of grew from there. Just because, yes, this area has been prone to droughts. As a matter of fact, I think they were like in a 6-7 year drought prior to us moving here, and in 2014 is when it filled all the lakes back up and things like that. But I think that, just sometimes it's the biggest thing for me is trying to figure out if you can do it and if it's efficient. So, when we first started doing our garden is, I would say, about a 15 by 50 spot. And originally we were using sprinklers and would just sit out there for 20-30 minutes, just running water.
Yeah.
And, down here in Texas, having to, water is like a huge thing. You cannot let one day go, or the next day you come out, your plants will probably be dead. It won't recover.
Yeah.
And so, we've been trying to find ways to maximize the usage of water. And by having those IBC totes filled, you can manage it better because you can physically see how many gallons you're using.
Yeah.
And, most people, when they use water at their house, they're not going to go look at the meter and then turn it on and then come back and be like, oh, that was 250 gallons I just used right there. So that was kind of the idea, because there, again, if there is a drought, this year was the test for us to see if we could get away with using those 4 totes. And for the most part, we did. I think they were filled up maybe one, so we have 4 stacked out there. I think in total we've used 6, and that we were able to backfill it based upon our setup. And,
Nice.
because the thing is down here too is we don't get like nice gentle rains. When the rains come, it's like a monsoon. So
it's like the obnoxious kid in school that's bouncing from table to table, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? And he's just so obnoxious that you're just like, please stop. But then when he stops, he just shuts down forever. And then like the rain here, it comes and you're all like, oh my gosh. And it just comes and just waves and then it stops. And then you're like, well, I mean, it was kind of cool. I mean, it was fine. It was just a lot at once. And come back, please. Like come back
Yeah.
a little bit. I don't think we've had rain in 6 weeks now, maybe. I mean,
Wow.
maybe it's been
Wow.
at least a month. I think my dad's been down here for a little bit over 5 weeks, and I don't think it's rained a single time since he's been here. So we're supposed to get rain tomorrow, I think. So I'm all excited. I was like, make sure all the totes are ready, because yeah.
Well, this goes back to my example earlier about the cows running into the corral and all the dust that was in the air. It wasn't just because it was on a farm. It's because there was no rain.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
dust is everywhere.
That's really interesting, guys, because we wanted to do that. We wanted to save rainwater and stuff like that for our garden and for the animals and stuff like that. And so we were curious about that, you know.
Do you have a pond on a tank or a pond on your property?
I do not. But we have a really huge livestock waterer that we use for our ducks, and it's buried, it's in the ground. So there it is, but I would never use that for anything because it's absolutely disgusting.
Well, in terms of preparation too, one of the things
Yeah.
Eric always says, I'm like, we need to save water. And he's like, why? We have a tank. We have a pond down there. We could go grab water from there and then filter it, whatever we need to do. And I'm like, okay. But, you know, my thought is as well, at least if we have the 6 totes of water and if it's an off season and I'm not watering my garden or whatever, we could use that first because that's going to be cleaner than our pond water down at the back end of the pasture that drains all the mess from the pasture into it. I mean, the cows drink it, but it don't mean I have to. But you know, IBC totes are, you know, I saved
Right.
liver years. Yeah. Yeah. So for sure, the totes are really handy if you don't have a pond. And that's something that if we didn't have that on a back property, I probably would have more.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, that's a great way to prepare for not having water.
Yeah, that's really awesome. It's cool that you guys do that. I had a question about your pigs, and I was curious to know what kind of pigs you have because I saw your one video and your pig was freaking huge. So, what kind of pigs do you have?
So they're my babies. I love them so much. We have a girl. She's a Duroc right now. She's probably the big mama. We actually named her Mama June because she was really, really heavy when we got her. She was a little overweight. And now she's super like healthy and fit. So she went from not to hot in just a few months, just like Mama June. So we have Mama June, who is just a beautiful Duroc. She was a show pig and she is beautiful. And she's one of our breeders soon. We're going to actually put her in with our boy. And our male, our boar is a Tamworth. And he has got the nice big meaty back end and he's got the shoulders. So he's got the, you know, the meat in those areas, which is great. And then we have another sow and she is a red wattle and she's got a lot of length. And so that'll offer us some of that bacon that we're looking for. So when we mix those two together, or the Duroc and the Tamworth, we get some really nice meat. And we've got 3 feeders right now we're raising up and yeah, they're looking pretty good already. I'm very excited because they've got some length to them, but they've got some really nice muscular body, you know.
There's a lot of people out there that have pigs and stuff, but mainly some of the ones that I have, the YouTube people that I've watched, they have the coonies, and they're smaller. They have the smaller snout and stuff like that. And so, therefore, when I saw your guys' pigs, I was like, "Whoa, baby, they're big."
It's all about space too. And the coonies don't really dig up the ground like the ones with our snouts. Ours have longer snouts. They're going to dig up the ground. I mean, we've got land out there is just, I mean, I know it tears Eric up inside. Anytime we put him on grass, he's like, don't give them my grass. And I'm like, they need some grass, but they just tear the ground up.
Yeah.
They till it up real nice, but the coonies don't do that. And so they're a breed for people that don't really want to deal with the bigger ones necessarily. Like Lisa over at Yogi Hollow, she had both. And, you know, when you have both the smaller pigs and the larger pigs, you can definitely see the differences in what they do with your property, with your ground, and what you feel comfortable with too. Because like my little kids will get in the pig pen with our big pigs, but the 2 big ones, the sow and the boar, the main 2, they don't get in with them all the time. That's a bigger kid job. So it's really what you feel comfortable raising too, because the bigger ones can be very intimidating.
Yeah, yeah, they are. They're scary.
Yeah.
Pigs can be dangerous. I'm sure cows can't, but pigs
Yeah.
can be very, very dangerous. So I was
Yeah.
curious about that. Um,
Yeah, the misconception about pigs too is a lot of times people look at them and think that they're just fat animals, but the boar that we have, he's probably about 550 pounds. And I remember one time where I reached over the fence to kind of just let him know that I was there, and it was on his hind end. He turned and had his mouth almost on my hand, quicker than you could snap your fingers. That's how fast these animals are. They're extremely fast. They're very, very intelligent,
Mm-hmm.
very strong. Um, I've seen, that boar has taken the sow, which she's probably about 400 pounds, and I've seen him just lift her up easily and move her out of the way.
wow.
So,
Yeah.
so you really have to be careful with
It's a
them for
lot of
sure.
respect.
Lots of respect.
Yeah.
You guys out in the chat, thank you so much for coming in. I wasn't ignoring the chat. I have tried to see, I saw a lot of people come in. Red Road Homestead, thank you so much for being here. Kim Treadway, thank you so much for being here. And I saw that everybody that came in. I wasn't ignoring the chat. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. If you guys have any questions for Bland's Promised Land Ranch, please tag me in it and I will put it up, and you can ask some questions. Wow, you guys are amazing. You have an amazing farm. You have an amazing garden. Has there been any unusual things that you've grown in your garden? Anything rare or anything like that you've tested out, or no?
No, I don't think so. I mean, what are you smiling for? What? No, nothing really. I'm like waiting to see what he says. No, I mean, we're pretty standard. I'm gonna try some different cabbages this year and try some new stuff.
Yeah.
But we were able to grow potatoes in Maryland, and man, that was awesome. And here I can't grow potatoes to save my life. Now I was very lucky this year, and I was able to finally, after 6 years of trying, I finally grew onions. And it was so funny because I had friends of mine that were like, oh my gosh, onions are super easy. Just put the sets in the ground, you'll be fine. Onions are easy. Onions are easy. And I kept looking at her like, no, onions are not easy.
They're horrible.
They're not easy.
It's my favorite vegetable and I cannot get it to grow.
I figured it out. Basically what you do is you just lay it in the ground and then you pretend like it doesn't exist. And if you close your eyes when you walk past it, it will grow.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, okay, that works for me.
Well, that's what I need to do.
I'm like, I hope you're alive because I don't know. Like it just laid down on the ground and okay, we'll see what happens. So that worked for me. I'm just going to pretend that they don't exist again this year and see what happens.
Kaylin Strain wants to know, she said, have they or do they keep goats or sheep?
Goats are a hard pass. A lot.
We've goat sat before, and that was fun.
That's enough.
But we do not raise goats or sheep. The people next door raise sheep, and they're awesome looking. But Eric is a cow fanatic, and he likes to keep his cows on the land, and he doesn't like to give up any of the land for any other big animals. We had a horse once, and every time he would like be eating, Eric's like, he's just eating all the grass, and I'm like, okay, that's what he's doing. So he's gone too. I mean, we didn't eat him. We sold him.
Uncle Al, he's usually on my panel. This is Uncle Al.
Yeah.
He's curious to know, he says, what kind of power sources do you guys have there? Do you have solar? What's your power source?
Yeah, I know Uncle Al, so I know his direction of thinking there. No, one of the projects, which I kind of find it interesting that now that we do YouTube, I've pushed myself to think outside of the box with things that we should or shouldn't do. And actually, one of the things I want to do is take part of our barn and make it a freezer stall, if you will. And that's because we have, what do we have, 5 freezers?
Yeah, probably 5 freezers.
It's something like that. Because again, we sell grass-fed beef, so we have to hold some here for sale. And I want to take one stall and dedicate it to just the freezers, and I want to try my hand at setting up solar power for that stall.
Yeah. You really should check out Thorhaven. They have Highland cows, and they have a specific room that they had made for their meat and stuff. So you might be interested in checking something like that out. I think they have, I can't remember how, exactly they built it, but Thorhaven Farm, they're pretty cool, and they're up there in Quebec, and they have
Yeah,
a
we follow
really,
them. We like them. We've
yeah,
watched them before. I haven't seen that though. I'm gonna have to go look for that now. That's
yeah,
interesting. He's wanted
yeah,
to make a freezer room, if you will, where it's actually an in. He wanted to do it years ago, where it was actually just an entire big giant freezer.
yeah,
Not where there were individual freezers, but it was actual freezer space where we could have, the freezer stuff set up for a freezer. And then he's like, okay, well, maybe we can just do a stall with all the areas for the freezers in them. And
yeah,
that'll be completely solar powered. So right now we only, we just use the power from the county or from city or whatever. We're on regular, co-op power. It's called farmers co-op. So we actually are a cooperative. So we don't do the city power as much, but which is nice because it's a smaller power company, but I don't like relying on anybody else. And so that's definitely something that we need to really start thinking about, because
yeah.
power goes down, I've got to be eating a lot of meat and
Oh,
really
yeah.
time. So that
Well,
was another thing we're starting to do, is canning the meat too.
Yeah. Well, it's really different too with them, like Quebec, up in Quebec, like if it goes out, if it's a rare chance that it's during the summertime, that's horrible. But typically it's so cold up there that if it goes out, it goes out, and it's fine. But where you guys are, it doesn't snow or anything, does it? Not very
Not unless
much.
it's a freaky year like last year it
Yeah.
did.
Except for
but
the exception of last year. That was a really weird year. But
no, we actually right in May, we got 2 head of cattle back. So I knew I needed at least 3 freezers. And no joke, I got the cow back, and right when I was getting ready to cow back, one of our entire big stand-up freezers died. Thermostat went out and it was dead. And I'm like, what am I going to do? But this is the reason why I need to be prepared to be able to put it other places. So we split it up between our house, my mother-in-law's house. I sold a box. We were able to do fine. But if our freezer goes down, we know we only have a 48-hour window when that meat will start to cool down enough that we have to do something. Like, we have a 40-hour window to get it out of that freezer and move it, because it is so hot here. And it happens a lot.
yeah.
We've had to move meat at like midnight. We're like, the freezer's out, move the meat. So, because I'm not losing, $500 worth of meat.
No way. No.
I would drive to my sister's or somewhere and be like, calling my friend, you need to come take some of this meat.
Yeah.
So
the Broussards homestead, they also can meat. They do a lot of canning meat because they live in Louisiana, and they live right by St. Charles, where it's like hurricane season. And a lot of times their freezers and stuff go out. So they do a lot of canning of meat and stuff. It's just it's right for them, because when the power goes out, they can still have, a resource to go to. So that's something that you guys might want to consider. But it's tough too, because if you're selling it, obviously you can't sell the canned meat, but for yourselves, you can keep that for yourself.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, it is 10:30. You guys are amazing, and I'm so glad that we came across you. You guys are awesome. We love your farm, and you guys are so outgoing. You guys make it fun. So great. Everybody in the chat said they love you, and they said it was a great interview, and so thank you guys so much for being here with us tonight. And thank you everybody in the chat. Would love to have you back sometime.
Absolutely.
I'll message you guys, and we can figure it out. Or you're always welcome on my ladies panel. I do ladies night, or anytime. You're welcome on my panel. So I really appreciate it. Night? Well, yeah, if you were a wig or a dress.
That wasn't my invite. Okay, I got it.
If you wore a wig or a dress, you can come up.
Literally, the last person on earth that would put a wig or a dress on is my husband.
We almost had Bob come up with a wig on. It would have been kind of funny.
My goodness.
Well, I wanted to say to you, thank you very much for having us on, and then also as I share with you in your email, and one of the original emails I sent you, I just really appreciated the way that you have your lives ran, and that's what kind of solidified for me how I wanted to do it, because I had in my mind what I was looking for, And then when you had Yogi Hollow on that one time and I was able to see you for the first time, I was like, wow, if only I had neon lights, we could be just like her. But I still haven't I'm not
Hey,
monetized.
when you're
so-
monetized, I'll buy you neon lights.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. It's just we have a lot of fun. We try to keep it clean. Towards the end of the night, 11 o'clock when I do my after parties and stuff, we can get pretty rowdy. So
I'm a stalker on yours sometimes.
Yeah.
I'll stalk. I'll put you on and let you play out, and I'll be like laughing and listening.
Yeah.
So I'm one of those people that will just let it play out and don't always say stuff because sometimes I don't have the capability on my phone to like comment because I can't tag people and stuff. So it's annoying on my phone, but I'll like pull your stuff up on my phone and just like let you play out and listen to some of the conversation because it's fun, you know? So I'm a live stalker, if you will, because
that's awesome.
it's fun to listen and it's watch hours, right? I mean, who cares?
Yes. It's a lot of fun, but
I'm like stalk away.
Sometimes we don't get kid friendly late at night, but that's why I do my after parties at night. So it can be an adult time for people, and sometimes people need an outlet. They need a place to go to, and and that's kind of what the Poop Troop thing is about as well. I mean, we all deal with animals and stuff, and so poop is just a natural. We just we talk about it, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, so you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for being on tonight. And yeah, like I said, you're always welcome to come back and hang out with us. So yeah, you guys, 11:15, I'm going to start the after party. So everybody that is in the chat, if you want to come and hang out with us, you can do that as well. And we will see you all next time. Did you guys have anything that you wanted to say?
No,
before
thank
we
you.
leave?
Thank you for having us. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And don't forget to subscribe to Bland's Promise Land Ranch, guys. They're awesome, and their links were in the chat tonight. So click, give them some subscribers. I think they had like 400 and some when I just looked. So give them some subscribers, and we will see you all next time. Have a good night, guys.
See ya.